Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks a lot. Very glad that you guys are doing a briefing on this and that it was released. I wanted to ask about, I guess, peacekeeping kind of more broadly than just these individual allegations. In page 74 of your report, you talk about a failure to vet the various contingents that were in MISCA coming to MINUSCA, and so that this, it seems that you're saying that this showed a lack of seriousness in human rights vetting, but then you say, the mandate of the panel is to assess whether an abuse of authority occurred in connection with the allegations, so there's not a causal relationship. But since some of the battalions and contingents that came in through MISCA have since been accused of rape, including of children, can you explain, just now we heard the spokesman say, all the individuals who are not found to have abused their authority, Ban Ki-moon has full confidence in them. And I wonder, do you think that that's merited, given the findings you make? Mr. Malcora has left, Mr. Ladsous is here. What should be done in terms of DPKO's vetting on human rights? Thanks.
So for the vetting, we have written in the report that we found that it is problematic. We found that even where rules are there, they are either insufficiently implemented, or they could be strengthened, because although we find no causality between the allegations and the way the vetting was done in that case, just as you, we see that there are numerous human rights violations from contingent in MINUSCA that came from MISCA, the African Union-led forces that was there before MINUSCA. So we are left with the observation that these troops are accused of committing human rights violations, and that these troops were there before MINUSCA was there. These are the same troops, not the same soldiers probably, maybe some of them the same. We come to the conclusion that they should be scrutinized, something more serious. We recommend more serious vetting database, because this is a huge problem in the UN. There are a number of databases, but not all of them seem to be working. So,
I just want to ask one follow-up directly on this, which is that I don't know if maybe you can say this, and if in the course of your inquiry, there are two things I wanted to ask whether you became aware of. One is a memo of Mr. Ladsous meeting with the Vice President of Burundi on October 1st about MINUSCA, and saying, I'm very pragmatic on human rights. This is the UN's own summary of the meeting. And I wanted to know, what do you think in this context? And the second one was, sitting exactly where you are, on September 11th of this year, Mr. Ladsous said that some of these rapes took place because the conditions of life of the soldiers weren't ideal, and that flights for recreation, for R&R, might be one of the solutions. And I'd like to know, given your inquiry into this, what you think of that.
we have not made any recommendation for recreation. And I prefer to make no comment on observations that other presenters or speakers may have made. So, yes, maybe.
Yasmin is going to speak. Yes.
I mean, I think that the report is very clear that, in fact, when you commit sexual violations, that this represents a crime. And we don't think that it's a question of R&R or anything like that. In fact, what we think is that, and we say that in the report, that what the training should take account of is what the consequences will be if you commit a crime. I think that's the tenor of the findings in the report.
Thank you. Thank you. Matthew.
I really appreciate it. I guess I wanted to actually ask you, since one of the sections that, one of the people that you looked at is the senior official of the Executive Office of the Secretary General, and you also have a separate section on the Secretary General's then Chief of Staff, Susanna Malcora, who convened this meeting, I guess it was in Turin, between OIOS, the ethics officer. What can you say, if you can, about the Secretary General, either himself or the way in which the UN is being managed? Because do you believe that Susanna Malcora convened the meeting in Turin of her own volition, or is this part of a, did you consider the sort of, there are other scandals going on involving, for example, a Libya envoy who took a job with a country involved. There's the John Ash scandal, and it seems that many of these, the goal seems to be to kind of cover them up or hush them up. So what can you say as you leave this? How does this fit into these other UN scandals, and what should be done?
We looked for it. We have not found it. We looked for information because the closest we came was this person, because we had been informed that this had gone to New York. Okay, New York is a big city, so, and UN is a big organization. So we tried to scratch the surface. And the closest we came was this person who, at the end of a Friday, says, and you will read his comments, and he doesn't agree with us, but we say what we read and we say what we found, and this is it. We have not changed our report after because we forgot anything. We saw something where this person says that he did inform, but after that he says, well, in fact, I did not for so many reasons. So we tried to see at what level it escalated, and at the time we have not seen that the Office of the Secretary General got any wind of it, except through this senior official.
What does it say about how it's run that something this serious could die on the vine on the 38th floor?
Then you get our recommendation. And in this section, we say this kind of information cannot be left to informal channels. This is like the wording that we use in our report. In our view, sexual violence is so important, it has to be escalated. This is it. Thank you. I'd like